Okay, so essentially what we're going to do today is I'm just going to sort of give you an overview of everything that you're going to be working on and sort of an overview of what our schedule will sort of be like. And I want to hear your feedback too, and I want to hear your ideas as well. You know, with a journal, it's impossible to have a schedule like set in stone and say, okay, this is how it's exactly going to go, because we don't know what each month is going to bring. You know, we could have a month where submissions are like really high for some reason, and there's so much to be read that maybe we need to pull back on some of the other things that you do. Or it could be that it's slow, and so I can give you more things to do in these other areas. And so this is just sort of a broad overview of what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to divide you up into teams. So there's 5 of you. And so for May, Aaron and Jesse, since both of you have a little more experience with some things, I'm going to have you working with me to do audio recordings of the writers reading their works that we're going to be publishing in the fall. And what that's going to mean is I'll set up I might have you guys set them up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll work that out. But we're going to set up appointments with the writers that we're publishing, at least the ones that we know of so far, because the whole edition's not finished yet. And what we do with these is we meet the writers online on Zoom, and we have them set up the piece, sort of explain what prompted it for them, like what led them to the idea, how it developed, you know, that kind of thing, and then they can read the piece. If it's a poem, that's going to be a very short recording. If it's a short story or a creative nonfiction piece, it could take some time. It could take you 30 to 45 minutes sometimes for them to read an entire piece and explain what prompted it and that kind of thing. We do the recording on Zoom. Have any of you ever done recordings on Zoom before? Have you, Jesse? Yeah. So, well, Chayla, since you haven't, maybe I'll do the first one with you so I can sort of just walk you through how to do the whole thing. But essentially, when you record, when it's finished, what you want to do is you can either record it to the cloud or your desktop. I usually just record mine to the cloud. When you hit end the meeting, it'll start processing the recording. It takes it a little while, especially if it's like one of those short story things. It's going to take it a while. And then what you'll do is you'll download that audio file to the to your computer, and then you're going to upload it elsewhere. Because we are trying to like not spend money because our budget's so small, sometimes that creates extra work. So what we do is we use a couple of different programs. We use, oh God, what's it called? Veed, V-E-E-D. And we also use YouTube to do these. And on your first one for each of you, what I'll do is I'll meet with you with the writer, and I'll walk you through the steps of how to edit the piece, how to upload it to Veed, and then how to upload it to YouTube. I did all of these by myself for the spring preview. I guess there were maybe 15 of them or something like that. I did them all. I met the writers, I recorded them, I edited them, and I uploaded them to Veed and then to YouTube. And then I placed the link to the recording on the web pages. I'll probably have all of you learn how to do all of that, but we're gonna share this. Basically, I was thinking what I would do is move things month to month, but I think what I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you work on things for 2 months at a time. That way you'll get comfortable with it before you move on to another thing. So in May, Aaron and Jesse are doing audio exclusives. And then I think Alana and Shayla are going to work on building web pages. And then Jada is going to do social media analytics. And research grants. So this will be May and June that all of you are doing these. So for 2 months, you're going to work on these only. In addition to that, you'll be reading and attending the fiction meetings and also be doing social media. With social media, though, you're only going to be doing 1 post a month. So, excuse me, 1 post a week, so 4 a month. So that's not like super extensive. So that'll give you the time to do your reading and to work on this other thing. Okay. Then in July and August, what we'll do is we'll just sort of switch that out and we'll just sort of see how it goes. But I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to do everything. So as we sort of move forward, just know you're going to be working on this one thing for 2 months, and then after that, you're going to switch to one of the other. So Aaron and Jesse in July and August will either be working on web pages and building those or on social media analytics and research grants. Okay, and then every month, everyone's working on reading and social media, doing 1 post a week on social media. Probably starting next month, there will also be opportunities here and there to contact writers with proofs of their PDF for the spring edition. I don't know exactly when those are going to be ready. It depends on when our associate editor gets the time to create those. But once she creates those files for InDesign, she is going to place each of them into individual PDF files for each writer, which is actually the layout of the page for their story or their poem and that kind of thing. And what all of you are going to do is you're going to send those PDFs, those proofs, to the writers, and you're going to ask them if they want to make any changes to the proof. And I'll probably have one of you, probably Jada, work on the contributors' bios as well. But you'll probably share that throughout the year, the rest of the year. Okay. So there's probably going to be other little things that come up here and there, but this is basically sort of going to be the schedule for now. So May and June, Aaron and Jesse are working on audio exclusives. Elena and Shayla are working on building web pages. And Elena and Shayla, you're going to be building the web pages for all of the fall pieces that have been accepted already. Okay. And then Jade is going to be working on social media analytics and research grants and that kind of thing. So what I'll do is I'm going to have to meet with each of you, each little team separately, and show you how to do all this stuff specifically. Okay. So Aaron and Jesse we'll get together and I'll walk you through how to do one of these, and I'll show you the programs that you're going to be using and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, audio exclusives is really fun because you get to meet the writers and you get to talk to them. And some of the pieces that they read are super powerful. One of them that we recorded back in January, I think it was, it's called Parts Unknown. That was probably one of the most moving things I've ever seen in my life. Seeing the writer read that piece and talk about why he wrote it, it was just very, very powerful. So I think you'll get a lot out of doing all these things. And from building web pages, that is a skill that you can transfer to any career that you have later. It's something that's really helpful to know how to do. Now, you won't need to know how to do HTML or anything like that. The software we use is called Homestead. There are a couple tiny things that we do with HTML code, but you already have the code, so all you have to do is sort of put it in a particular location kind of thing, so it's pretty easy. All these things are fairly easy, but you're gonna be working on a lot of different things at once. So I think that may be the challenge. And we're gonna do these throughout the year. And like I said, little things will come up here and there. So that's the general schedule for now. And so Aaron and Jesse, I will get in touch with you really soon about the audio exclusives, because that's something we're going to have to start on pretty soon. We will have time to get them all recorded and edited, but we should probably lay out a schedule of when we're going to do each one, that kind of thing. And I'll try to put a list together for you of everything that we've accepted so far, so you'll know who to contact. Another thing that I'm going to need to do, and so this is going to, don't let this freak you out. I'm going to have to add you guys to all the fiction teams, all the poetry teams, and all of the creative nonfiction teams in Submittable. So basically what that means is you're going to get all these notifications every time that we get something new submitted. Hold on one sec, I got to let Aaron into the meeting. I saw it pop up. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. Are you in? Yeah, you're in, okay. So what was I saying? Oh, so you're gonna be added to all of the different submissions, which means you're gonna see every little thing that we get submitted to us, which means you're gonna get a ton of emails. You don't have to read all that. You're only reading fiction, okay? But I have to add you to all the teams so that when we do things like edit documents, and we're double checking to make sure that what the poet submitted to us is what's in the PDF and that kind of stuff. And you'll have the access to their bios and all this kind of thing. I'm gonna have to add you to every team so that when it comes time to do all that, you'll already be added to it, if that makes sense. Okay, so don't let all the emails freak you out, because there's gonna be a shit ton of them, all right? So Aaron, we were just talking about, we're gonna do a schedule, and I'm recording this meeting, so you'll be able to go back and look at it. But essentially, you and Jesse in May and June are working on audio exclusives, which is you're going to be going and recording writers reading their work and taking the files and editing them and that kind of stuff. It's super fun. I think you'll like it. And but what we're going to do is we're going to rotate. Some people, after you do that, you'll either be doing web design or social media analytics and research grants. One of those two, and everyone's going to get a chance to work on each one of those for 2 months. That way you'll feel really comfortable with one thing before you move on to the other one. Okay.
And will Aaron and I we'll be doing those essentially at the same time, like we'll all be on the same Zoom meeting if we can help it, kind of thing?
You can, or you can do them separately from one another. But
it's just up to Aaron and I, essentially.
Yeah, for the next 2 months.
Okay, that sounds really cool.
It is. I loved it, and since the two of you have a little more experience than the others, I thought I'd let you start with those first. And Aaron, you missed this, but I was telling Jesse that I'm gonna probably at least come to the first one with you, and be there in case you have any questions about how to do things, and I'll walk you through how to do the audio editing and the video editing and all that stuff. Okay.
Awesome.
One thing that I'm going to want all of you to do, though, is we don't have like a guide for like a new intern of how to do things. And so what I want you to do for each of these things the first time you do them is we're going to create documents for a new intern that comes in later on that lays out everything. Here's what you do. Here's the steps you take. Here's where you go. This is what you click. I mean, literally, we're going to tell them everything. Okay, so that's something you're going to be working on too, is creating the guide for that. So Aaron and Jesse, you'll be working on the guide for audio exclusives. When 2 months from now, when everyone rotates, they'll have that to look at. But then if they feel like something needs to be added to that document, they can add it to that document. Okay. All right, any questions about those things?
Can we make it like a Google Docs, or do we need to make it something else? Like a
We have Google Docs for West Trade, so we'll probably put it in Trello, I think, because our Google Docs, we're trying to get away from using it because it's impossible to freaking find anything when you need it, because it's so unorganized, that we'll probably just have a place for it in Trello, most likely. And we'll just keep all the documents in there. Now, when you compose them though, like if you're working on them together or something like that, you can start them out in Google Docs and share that with each other. But then ultimately the finished product is going to be inside of Trello, I think.
that makes sense to me. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So any questions about those things? So I'll be in touch with all of you on these different teams about when we're going to meet one-on-one, and I'm going to show you these programs and show you how to use them and walk you through every step and that kind of thing. They're all pretty easy. I would say though, like even with me, like I haven't edited video or audio since, I don't know, March. So I'm like, how do you do that again? So I have it all, and I have it all written down, and I have where I go, and I actually have a video that shows you how to do an audio edit. It's really just 3 clicks, super easy. So I probably need to like walk through that myself again, because it's been a while since I've done it. All right, so let's go to social media and talk about those. That's pretty easy. I think I've talked about all of you about this once anyway. So we're gonna go to the social media board. We're gonna talk about things there. Let me share my screen with you. Now, Shayla, you've done at least one post now, right?
Yes.
And Alana, I know you've done a lot of them. Jesse, you have not done one yet, right? And Aaron, you haven't either, right? Okay. Oops, wrong one. Okay, there it goes. All right, so this is the social media board. I gave all of you access to social media, online exclusives, the fiction board, and the newsletter and marketing board. I might give you access to creative nonfiction and poetry as well, because there may be times when you're building web pages where you need information from those boards to actually create the page. So I'll probably give you access to those as well. Okay, so what you're looking at right here is the social media board. And what I normally do is I try to stay at least a month ahead of time. So over here on the post to be created, what I do is I'm the one who puts everything in there. Okay, this is what we need, kind of thing. So that's over here on the left, and you'll notice there is someone assigned to each one. In the bottom right corner, you'll see initials. That's the person who's creating that file or that post. Right here, that's the date that it's due. So it's a day late right now. This is the date that it's running on social media. I wish Trello gave multiple notifications like my cell phone does, because sometimes I have to have 5 notifications to remind me to do something, because I'm really busy. But what they'll do is they'll send you an email 2 days before the post is due and let you know, hey, this is due. So the email that we use to set you up on Trello, that's where it's going to send it. Right? Usually I'll say what it is, like this is a review. So we do 3 different kinds of posts. We do book reviews. We're either doing a creative piece, something that's being published in either the online edition or a preview for the spring, right? Basically everything we're going to be doing from now until probably about March is stuff from the online editions kind of thing. So we have fiction, creative nonfiction, poetry, and those are the pieces. What we do is we feature each individual one on its own post. And so that's sort of what this is right here. And I don't know if that one is, the link is up yet or not. Yeah, it is. So this is a short story called Pull. And so this is Chayla, this is actually assigned to you. So this will be a chance for you to ask me questions. So this is the date that it's running, but this is the date that it has to be finished by. And it's actually supposed to be finished by tomorrow at 11:05. Okay. So a lot of times when I have these creative pieces, the only thing I'm going to give you is a link. And this link is basically a rough draft of the page. It doesn't mean it's completely finished. So if you click it, there is no image on it yet because I haven't had the chance to go find the art, but I will. So you don't need to worry too much about that. But the actual short story is here. The writer's name is there. And then down at the bottom, you'll see their bio. And that's really all you need to make the post. So if you look at the card, I'll show you one that's been done before. Okay, here's a short story from the other day. Actually, it's going to run tomorrow. Now, if you forget this, you'll notice over here at the top of this post to be created column, and when you click that, it tells you what each post is supposed to have, essentially. Actually, there's a requirements checklist right there. Okay, they're pretty easy. Once you've done this a couple of times, you can do them in a minute. So what you want to do is, now poems are really easy because poems are short. A short story might take you a little bit longer because honestly, you really need to read most of the story in order to be able to pull out a quote. So you want to pull out a quote that you think is gonna grab the reader's attention and make them pause and stop and look at the post and actually read the entire piece. Okay. So who did this one? Corinne did this one. So she pulled out the quote for this story. Everyone slowed to a crawl to pass the accident. As we were forced to let others merge in front of us, I could see the tire skids leading up to the area, twisting and whirling over both lanes as if the car had been dancing. You might see that on social media and be like, oh, I got to read the rest of this to see what it's about. That's kind of the whole point of pulling out a quote. So be sure you're pulling out one that's really going to get anyone on social media engaged, because as you know, all of us on social media, our attention spans are about that big. So you got to make sure that it's a good one so that they'll actually pause and look at it. That's kind of the point of the art sometimes too, although you can't always find art that works thematically with a story that's going to do that. Like this one is kind of boring, honestly. But it's the only thing I could find that even remotely would even connect to the story in any way. Sometimes they're a lot more engaging. So there's basically 3 or 4 things you got to do. Okay, so the first thing is the quote. Next, you should say something similar to this. It doesn't have to be worded exactly like this, but this is how we typically do it. Excerpt from, and then the title of the piece by the author's name. It's a part of our summer 2022 collection of online exclusives coming in early June. Now, if you're not sure where this piece is from and what edition it's going to be in, where could you find that information? I think I showed all of you this once. You probably don't remember though. You remember, Jesse?
I don't remember. I don't think I remember.
Would it be under the online exclusives tab?
Nope. Good guess though. It's under the fiction board. So on the fiction board, you'll see everything laid out. It'll say, you know, summer edition, fall edition, winter edition, and underneath each one of those, that's where that piece is going to be placed. Okay, so you'll know. Right now, we're finishing up all of the summer ones because it's about the whole collections are going to be ready pretty soon. So you'll sort of say something like that, and then you can say something along the lines of read the full story here. Also, remember, put this in parentheses, because remember, we're posting to 3 different places. We're posting to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So on Instagram, hopefully most of you know this, you can't post a link on Instagram. Okay, so we have to use link in bio to do that, which all of you will have a chance to learn later on. Because I'm also going to let you, at some point, I got to talk to Corey, but I'm also going to let you at some point schedule some things as well on Buffer, so you can sort of see how that works. But just for whoever's scheduling, don't forget to put in parentheses or the link in our bio there, just so we don't forget that we need to say that, because sometimes we schedule stuff really quickly and we might forget to add at the link in our bio in there, just that phrase. And then also you're going to have the link to the piece. I don't always have this on the web page for this, but if it's gonna be there, it's down here because the writer gave it to us, and she did on this one. Okay, so if you know, and this is pretty much just for Instagram and Twitter, if you know someone has an Instagram and a Twitter, put the ID there, tag them in it. A good way to make sure you have the right person, for instance, like if they don't have one listed in their bio, what you can do is just Google them. Actually, Chayla and I were doing this the other day. She asked me about that, and I Googled a person. And I found the 2 poems that we were supposed to be publishing. They had published them somewhere else, which you're not supposed to do, ever, 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 ever. So that person won't ever be publishing anything with us, ever again. So find their right. Most people have a writer's page. Not everybody will, but if they do, they're going to have their social media linked from that page. They'll have their Twitter link from there if they have one. They'll have their Facebook and their Instagram. Most writers are only on Twitter these days. There are some that are on Instagram too, but most writers are at Twitter. So if you go there and you find they have a web page, but they don't have anything listed, that probably means they just don't have social media. So in that case, just don't worry about tagging them. But if you have it, be sure you let me know which one it is. What is this, the Instagram tag or is it the Twitter tag? Because when we go to schedule it on Buffer, we need to know which one it is, so we can make sure that we have the right one. Okay. And then hashtags. Aaron, you gave a good explanation of this when you and I talked. So explain to the rest of them the importance of hashtags.
So it's a really good way to be able to find different things. Like when you go looking for something, are you looking for a short story? Are you looking for an exclusive? Are you looking for something that's been in the lit mag? Anything that you would search for is the kind of thing that you need to have as an Instagram tag or a tag on Twitter, though they don't really use that anymore. They do more search terms these days. So you don't really have to tag on Twitter, but Instagram for sure. Anything that you would search for is the kind of thing that you need to be thinking to tag on here. So fiction, writing, what else would you look for? Writers, IG, anything like that. Yeah.
And those hashtags are going to allow them to find us as a journal. And if they like what we're doing, hopefully they do, then they're going to follow us. That's how we get new followers. And that's how, and when those people follow us, we're going to start showing up on other people's pages as suggestions for them to follow. Okay, so that's how all this works. That's how we've grown our social media, is by just making connections. And, hashtags are an important part of this. I know sometimes it seems like, oh, it's just this random shit that I got to do. but it's not. There's a reason. And so when you choose a hashtag, it's important that you choose something that people are actually going to look for. I know a lot of you sometimes want to use WTR. Don't do that. No one's going to go to Instagram or Twitter and search for WTR. They don't know what the hell that is. And there are other WTRs out there. I met one of those journals at AWP, West Trestle Review. So be sure that you're using tags that are going to help people find us and find something that's relevant. We always use writing community, because that is the one right now that it seems everybody's using, especially on Twitter. So there's also one for poetry called Poetry Community. You can always use that, but try to mix them up when you can, but just be sure that you're using relevant things. I don't know how much some of you have used Twitter or Instagram, but especially on Instagram, they're more important there. You can actually use 30 hashtags on Instagram. I don't think we need to use that many. I don't think there's 30 relevant ones, but up in the top where you do the searches at the top there, if you just have an idea for a hashtag, like if you just start typing writing, hashtag writing, you're going to get all these others as suggestions that pop up for you to try. And what they'll do is they'll tell you how many times it's been used. Like writing inspiration, for instance, has been used 1.2 million times. That's probably something we would want to use, because if it's been used 1.2 million times, that's 1.2 million times someone could have the opportunity to find West Trade Review. Okay. So you can mix them up. Just be sure that you're actually using hashtags that are relevant to what it is that we're showing them, and that people are actually using them. Okay. I will say this, the hashtags that are used the most, because they're used so many times, that means millions of other accounts are also using it at probably exactly the same moment that we are, which means we have a very short window of time to connect with somebody. So finding those that are used often is great, but if you can find some that are used semi-often and use a couple of those every now and then, that's good too. Because what happens is we'll end up staying on that long list of posts a little bit longer, simply because people aren't posting on it as long, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's essentially all you do with the post, is quote, let them know what it is, what makes it relevant, okay, and then give them the link, or tell them that the link's in our bio for it, tag the writer, and then give the hashtags. Now, a post for a book review is similar, but it's not exactly the same. And let me see if I've got one back here somewhere. I think I do. But it looks very similar. Yeah, no. Yeah, there's one at this one. This one's different though. That's the actual review. We haven't done a review in a while. Okay, here's one. So it's very similar. What you do is you just pull out a quote from the review itself. So that means you need to read the whole review. Pull out something that you think is going to grab someone's attention, that's going to make them interested in the book, because that's the point of a book review. People read book reviews because they're looking for something new to read. So find something that you think sort of sums up what this reviewer said about the book that you think is going to be relevant to people who might want to read it. Okay. Then you're going to say something like, excerpt from the writer's review of the book by that author's name. Please tag the author of the book on Twitter and Instagram if they have both. Every now and then you'll actually find a writer who doesn't have either, which makes zero sense, but they don't do social media. And if you can, also tag the publisher. Most publishing houses have Instagram and have Twitter both. They don't always though, especially if it's a really small one. I know Aaron and I talked about this. I think that is the dumbest thing ever. Like if you're trying to grow your publishing house, why are you not on social media where everybody else already is? It just makes zero sense, but sometimes they just don't do it. So tag them as well. And the cool thing is, not every single time, but very, very regularly, the writer who wrote the book sees the review that our reviewer wrote, shares it on their page, and sometimes they have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. Same thing with the publisher. The publisher will like what we did with the review, and then they'll share it on their page, and sometimes they have thousands and thousands and thousands, millions even, of followers. And so that's a chance for us to connect with other people and get new followers by doing that. So be sure, and the person who writes the review gets super excited because the person who wrote the book actually saw what they said. Okay, so be sure you're tagging them. So the writer's name of who wrote the book and the publisher. And then also you're going to give the link to it, and then again use relevant hashtags. Now, a lot of times when you come to these cards, I won't have the art there yet. It's because finding art is just, oh my God, it takes so long. And I've been using the same outlets for a while that I feel like I need to find new places to get some stuff. And I looked last night and I'm not finding anything that I like. So I might have to resort to going to Instagram and just asking people if I can use their art for things, which I've done. And since it's summer, I might have time for that. So I might do that, but if you don't see the art there, don't panic. It's not a big deal. You'll still have the link so you can create the page. Just leave out anything about the art. You'll notice in most of these posts, it will say in the post, image by so-and-so, or it usually does anyway. Not always. We try to give credit when we can. Here's the thing though. We can't ever give credit for the art on Twitter. Why not? What might prevent us from doing that?
Word count.
There you go. Character count even. Because on Twitter, you're limited to the number of characters that you have. And so a lot of times it's literally, okay, I've got this many characters, yet I need to say all this. What can I cut? First thing to go, art credit. Okay. So there's that. So that is book review, and that is creative writing. And then the last thing that we do is we do like announcements kinds of posts. We do a lot of those. I've been doing all these for poetry. So you may or may not ever have to do that many of these. Sometimes I'll put something up there and I expect you to just know, which I shouldn't. I need to be more specific and let you know what it is I'm trying to do with a piece. But like a lot of times I might just have the link to the poetry contest up there, and then I just want you to just word it however you think it should be worded. But everything about the poetry contest is on this page. Okay. If it's anything more specific than that, I'll probably give you the basic information. And if you go to do a post and you're like, I have no damn idea what this is or what he wants me to do with this, you can message me on Slack, or you can text me. I think all of you have my number, and you can say, hey, I was about to do this and I have no idea what you want. And then we can talk about it that way. Okay. And then once a quarter, you're also going to have these kinds of posts like this. A lot of times I'll already have these written out and I won't even assign them to you, but occasionally I might just say, for instance, the summer edition is coming soon, and give you the link to the draft of the summer edition. And I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to expect you to just do the rest of it. So you'd have to just sort of figure that out. Think of it this way. How would you get someone to stop their scrolling through social media to read the post and let them know? How could you get their attention about this? Now, as far as our online voice goes, I would say it's a mixture of formal and informal. So it's okay to use a little slang occasionally. We tend not to use a lot of it. It's okay to use exclamation points and be super excited about something. Don't overdo it though. Normally, we're kind of a mixture of the two, I would say. And it just depends on what the post is too, you know, how formal it should be or how informal it can be. I would say the book reviews and the online exclusives, that needs to be mostly formal-ish. The announcements stuff though, that can be a lot less formal, depending upon what it is. Like you wouldn't want a contest winner announcement to be very informal. We're usually not completely informal ever. It's usually like a mix. So what you can do to sort of get a feel for what the voice is like is just to look at some of the other posts from the past. And if you forget, like if you have a short story to do and you forget how to do it, remember you can look at the top of the page at the requirements, but you can also just go over here to all the posts that have already been done and just look and see how we did that one and just sort of structure yours in a similar way. Now, when your post is finished, actually, I should say this. I think I've told you all this, but just as a reminder, when you start working on something, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the card and drag it over to currently being created. That lets me know that you're working on it. So for instance, if like Corinne is that one's late that she's supposed to have been working on or something, if she's got it over here, I know she's working on it and I'm not going to have to message her and say, hey, Corinne, you forgot to do this. Be sure you do it, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Because I'll know, like I'm going to have to message her and remind her because apparently she overlooked it. But whenever you start working on it, slide it there. When it's finished, slide it to ready for edits. And at that point, you're done. Okay. Because then what happens is Corey or myself will read through it, double check the spelling, make sure the formatting's okay, make sure the wording's okay, make sure the voice is okay, make sure everything's tagged, make sure that you have relevant hashtags, that kind of stuff. And then when we say, okay, yeah, it's done, we're going to put our initials on it. And then we're going to slide it over to ready to schedule. And then whoever's scheduling, right now it's just Corey, sometimes me. When they schedule it, they'll slide it over to scheduled on buffer. Later on, I'm going to give you all the chance to practice doing that too. So when you see things under ready to schedule, that means they've been edited and they're finished, and you can copy and paste them over into buffer and that kind of thing and shape your posts there. Okay. Any questions about any of that? It's pretty easy. And I was waiting to sort of see where we were going to be with which staff and that kind of thing before I assigned anything. So what I'm going to do is every post that we have for the next couple of months, I'm going to go ahead and start assigning them to people. So you'll have stuff assigned in advance. So if you want to work ahead, you can. Just always make sure you get it done by the date on the card, whatever that is. Okay. Jesse, you had a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask about the issue again. Like if I wanted to, well, I guess mine isn't. Well, yeah, I'm confused about how we know which issue it's being created again.
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you that.
Okay, great.
It's under the fiction board. It's also under the poetry board and the creative nonfiction board. So I'm gonna give you guys access to that. I don't think you do have fiction right now. So when you click fiction right there, it's all right here. Summer, fall, winter, spring. And so what we've been doing is on each of these cards, and Jesse, you remember I've told you before, we work with writers a lot on polishing a piece. The very, very final draft of a story will be right here on this card. You'll see here, like it shows attachments are there and there's a comment. So if you click on the card, the file is right there. You can download it. Like if you're creating a web page for something like that later, that's where the file is going to be. We're also starting to add writers' images to web pages for short fiction and for creative nonfiction. We're not doing that for poetry. We just have too many damn poems that we publish. That would be a nightmare to do that. So we're not, at least not now. So all the stuff associated with a piece is going to be on the card for it in Trello. Like the final drafts, author images, all that kind of stuff. Okay. And then you'll see each column is a different edition. We're also doing novel excerpts now. So there's a novel excerpt for the summer. All that stuff is going to be over on this side. We're trying to do a novel excerpt for each quarter, at least if we can find one. For a long time, we only had this one from IA, and I think we accepted it back in January or something, or maybe even before that. And so up until last week, every novel excerpt was rejected. And then I know, I was recently talking to a poetry reader who is older and should know this, but I told her in advance, you know, like I told all of you, you're going to read a lot of really shitty stuff before you find a good piece that you want to publish. And this person is a poet and has published, so I would assume she would know that, but apparently she doesn't know that. And she was like, I just can't do it. I just can't read all this bad writing. I'm like, fine. No one's making you. So that's just to say, we read a lot of novel excerpts between last fall and last week, none of which were good and none of which we accepted. And then this past week, we accepted 2. That's just the way it goes sometimes. So I know when you're reading fiction and you're reading those submissions, that sometimes that can get so exhausting because everything is so awful sometimes. And some weeks it's going to be worse than other weeks. And then all of a sudden you're going to have 5 really good ones all at once. It just happens sometimes. That's the way it goes. So anyone have any questions about social media? Anyone have questions about the schedule that we're going to be using or the process? Now I'm going to have to meet with each of you for each of your individual projects to show you how to do it. And we'll do that while you're starting it, so it'll be fresh on your mind. And like I said, there's going to be other little things that come up every now and then. So every single one of you said you wanted to learn everything there is to know about running a journal. So this is your introduction to it. There's way more to it than this, but this is giving you a little bit of taste of a little bit of everything. We have other projects in the works that if it happens, I can give you a chance to work on those things too. Like we've been talking about doing a podcast. Don't know if that's going to happen. We've been talking about doing writing workshops in prisons. That might happen. We've been talking about lots of things. So if something else comes up, I can give you the chance to do that. And when it comes time to do those InDesign files, I want you guys to learn how to do InDesign. I think I've told most of you this. InDesign is not intuitive whatsoever. Have any of you tried to use it before? Aaron, you have? Yeah, it is not intuitive at all. So Kelly, who uses it all the time, is going to teach that to you. I know the basics, but I don't use it that often. It just frustrates me too much. And because I don't use it, it's like learning a foreign language. If you use it every day, you recall. If you don't use it very often, you're kind of rusty. I'm kind of rusty on InDesign. So she's going to take you aside and she'll probably like, I don't know if she's going to do it with all of you at once or individually or how she's wanted to do that, but she's going to set up a Zoom meeting with you. She's out in California and she's just going to walk you through it. Okay. She'll probably do it one person at a time because I think only one of you at a time can have access to our InDesign account. Okay. And she's going to start putting that together in June. So it might be sometime next month that I might say, okay, hey, Aaron, this week, are you available? Because Kelly wants to do InDesign with you. Okay. If all of you would do something for me, like if there are certain times, like in a given week that you're just not available, like ever, like if you know I work from 9 to 5, if you could like email that to me and let me know so I could pass it on to Kelly so that way we'll know, okay, well, you're not gonna be able to work with Erin in these times because she works a job and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. If you can email me that, that would help out a bit, okay? So send me that whenever you get a chance. I think that's it for now. After we rotate this, so each person's going to work on each project for 2 months. After we rotate, you'll go on to one of the other tasks and you'll spend 2 months on that one. And I think after you've gone through a full rotation, you'll sort of see, oh my God, I didn't know literary journals had to do all this stuff. And again, that's not even all of it. But you're also reading fiction, so you're going to sort of see at least how that side works. But understand, that's just the fiction side. We do the same thing with poetry. We do the same thing with creative nonfiction. So there's a lot of moving parts. So there's reviews, there's creative nonfiction, there's poetry, there's fiction, there's social media. Social media is the thing that holds all that together. The goal of a literary journal should be to build a community around what it is that you do, who is also interested in what you do. So everything that we do has something to do with that. So sort of keep that in mind, especially when you're doing your social media posts, is this post going to help us build community? That should be the question you ask. Around art, fiction, creative nonfiction, reviews, books, that kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, any questions? Well, we're supposed to have a meeting at 7. And Corinne's going to be here. And maybe Matt, and you'll be able to meet them. Corinne's been working with us for a year. And she started out as a fiction reader. And then she branched out into social media. And then she branched out into writing book reviews. And she just became our reviews editor. So when we have a chance to do it, we like to promote from within when we can. And so she's done a little bit of everything and she's moving up now. So that's a great thing. And Matt has been with the journal for 2 years. And he started out as a sophomore on my campus. And he just started out reading fiction. And he also branched out into social media. He also edits video sometimes. He sometimes edits audio. He's done a little bit of everything. He's edited proofs. He's sent proofs to writers before. He's done that kind of stuff too. He's gone through the process of helping us select the art for the print edition. He's done a little bit of everything. So I think in 20 minutes, hopefully he'll be here. If he's not, you'll meet him next time. He's at a point now where, okay, he just graduated. So he's trying to decide how much time he has to devote. Like he doesn't want to stop completely working with us because he likes it, but at the same time, he's not really sure how much time he's going to have. So he may not even be working with us anymore. He's still deciding. Right now, he's still doing posts for us. One of the things that, if any of you ever have a literary journal, here's the thing, you basically have no money. So you have a very small budget most of the time. Most journals do. And so you have to find ways to do things where you can save money and find ways to do things for free. One way that we've had to do that is we have a buffer account, but we have the free buffer account, which means, and sometimes those can be really expensive. Sometimes they can be $40 a month. But, and if you're active on social media, and you really need to be to build your following, you really need to either pay that $40 a month or find a way to do it for free, which is what we did. So we were using Hootsuite to do all the scheduling before. And then, we're on 3 different platforms. And then randomly one day we get an email from Hootsuite. Oh, by the way, if you have a free account, now you can only have 2 platforms that you schedule for free. That was their way of trying to convert some people over to the paid accounts. So we just left because we found Buffer. And I actually like Buffer better. And Buffer allows us to schedule 3 different platforms at the same time at multiple times for a day. The only thing about the free account is it doesn't post the link to Instagram to your link in bio automatically. So one of the things Matt's doing and has been doing for a while is every day when we do a post, he goes into link in bio and puts the link there to our post in our link in bio at the time we do the post. So at 3 p.m. every day, guess what Matt's doing? Sometimes he's doing it at other times of the day too. Or if he can't get to it, then I'll do it, kind of thing. Okay. So at some point this term, I might ask some of you to take that over and to do that at different points. Like there for a while, we were posting 4 times a day. That was just way too much, but we just had a lot we needed to do. We're probably just going to do 2 times a day, 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. And that's probably going to be it. So Matt's doing 3 p.m. So I might get one of you to do the 11 a.m.s or something like that if you're available. If not, it's not a big deal. While we're waiting on them, let me show you guys Buffer so you can sort of see what the next step is. Buffer is super cool. And all types of businesses use this program. It allows you to plan your whole social media strategy and schedule it and everything well in advance without having to literally be sitting on Twitter at 3 p.m. every day doing your tweet. Because then, you can't simultaneously do that on Instagram at the same time. So you'll sort of see everything that's scheduled in the next couple of days is already there. So to get to the platform that you want to do, you go here. So that's on Facebook right now. This is Twitter. Uh-oh. What happened? Oh, I think I did that one automatically myself. And then this is Instagram. So when you schedule one, all you have to do is scroll down to the day you want to put the post. Let me think. Let me see. I think I have one already on here for that day. So let me see. And I can just show you how you do it. It's really easy. So yeah, I've got one ready. Okay, we'll go ahead and do the one for the 21st. So let me show you. Can you see my Trello right now? You can? Okay, perfect. All right, so basically what I do is I'll save the image onto my desktop so that it's easily accessible. Okay, and then what I do is I have to make sure that I have the right time. So it's May 21st, 11 a.m. And then all I do is click edit. It's highlighted automatically. And then I do Control C. to copy. Then I go over to buffer. And then for every one of these at 11 a.m. on Saturday, I have to schedule it. So we're going to start with Instagram. So you just click schedule post, you click on 11, add your image. And then you copy and paste the social media post. That's all you do. Now, the thing is, you got to make sure though, that what's here is appropriate for Instagram. Like for instance, guess what we can't do? That's got to be taken out. But it says see link in our bio for details. That's what we want there. We can tag submittable. Gonna get rid of this. We can leave all those hashtags. Make sure that it's correct. Looks like it is. Once it's ready, all you got to do is click schedule post. So at 11 a.m. on Saturday, like magic, that's going to be posted to Instagram. And I don't have to be anywhere on there or doing any, I can be taking my dogs for a walk or whatever I'm doing. I don't have to worry about that. It's just going to happen automatically. Okay. Now let's schedule it on Facebook. So we click Facebook over here. Then we go to 11 a.m. on Saturday. We add the image. Copy paste. Now we got to take out this part. I wonder which one of these links is supposed to be the right one. I can't tell if that's the right one either. Let me just double check this and make sure that it works. Because if it is, I'm just going to delete the other one. You probably noticed that it switched the link out to the longer version right there. One of the things that buffer does automatically is it shortens the links. Why is that going to be important?
Twitter will find that very helpful.
Twitter, it saves you characters. You don't want your whole post to be taken up by all of the characters in your link that you need. Okay, yeah, that's right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one out. Okay, and then Facebook doesn't use hashtags really, so we can take those out completely. And it looks like our post is ready to go. So then we just click schedule post. Now you'll get to see what I'm talking about with Twitter. So now we're going to do the tweet. So we're going to go to 11 o'clock on Saturday. Schedule tweet. Now watch what happens when I copy paste this time. Whoops, I didn't do the right one. Let me go back to that. Control C. Okay, here we go. Can everyone see that buffer? Everything in red, there's not room for. So what we have to do is shorten this out so that we have only the most relevant information there because we don't have room for all this stuff. So I would say first thing you should probably get rid of is most of those hashtags. Maybe keep either writing community or writing contests, or maybe even poetry if you can, but we'll get rid of the rest. I probably won't have room for most of those even. So when you're choosing your quotes, like when you're doing an online exclusive, keep that in mind also, okay? Because on Twitter, we can't put a long quote there. There's not space. Okay, so probably what we'll do is we'll get rid of that heading. Okay. We're gonna have to get rid of, let's see if we can shorten it out. Submit a poem. Submit a poem to our West Trade Review Prize for Poetry Contest by end of day, May 28. We're going to change this to details here.
And I would take out the read the submission and just say we will provide feedback by, maybe change that to June 6th, just so you can say by, or take out the by end of day. Will.
Oh yeah. I have to leave the 5 because it's in the, on every other page.
Gotcha.
Submit a poem to our West Trade Review Prize for Poetry Contest by end of day, May 28. And we can just say, and we will provide feedback by June 5th. Details here. We look forward to reading your work. Yeah, it all worked. So now we got it all fit. Okay. Now we just got to remember to add our image and we're done. Now at 11 a.m. on Saturday, this will be posted to all 3 platforms at exactly the same moment. And I'll have to remember at 11 a.m. on Saturday to put the link there because I usually do those on the weekends. Let me ask you this. When do you think the worst time to post on social media is? Like, when do you think you would get the least interaction with an audience?
Probably about 3 a.m. on any given night.
Yeah. What day of the week is worst?
Friday night, Saturday night. Most people go out on those nights, I think.
Anyone else have a guess?
I would say maybe before 5, like before people are getting out of work, is a bad time.
And see, here's the thing, right? It depends on the platform. But usually, like in general, Saturdays and Sundays are the worst possible days to post anything because people are out doing, all that other stuff that they're doing. The best days are Monday through Friday. This is one of the reasons I'm going to have all of you do the analytics. Is I've been posting some things at different times a little bit on different days to try to get an idea of what's working, what's not working. Like, we discovered 2 years ago that the best time for us to publish was 3 p.m., which is why we stuck with 3 p.m. Now, does that mean it's still the best time? I really don't know. So you can actually do a lot of research on Google even. Like later, where we post our links to link in bio, they a lot of times, and all these different services like Buffer and Hootsuite and later, they'll tell you when people are getting the most interaction because they have that data. And so what you can do is just Google it and then find out. Instagram, I just looked this up recently. Instagram swears that 6 a.m. every day is the best time. And I'm like, no, there's no possible way. But here's the thing. Instagram has a specific type of algorithm, right? And so it controls how information appears to other people. And so at 6 a.m., not that many people are awake on a Saturday. I'm certainly not. And so that means your post is getting interaction with people, and more people are seeing it because there are fewer people online, if that makes sense. Because when everybody else is posting at 3 p.m., how many things are going to show up on your feed when you click on it at 3 p.m.? A ton. Okay, so more people are actually likely to see your post if you posted at 6 a.m. on a Saturday or Sunday or any other day, because it's going to be up there longer because of the way that their algorithm works on Instagram. Now, if you post something at 6 a.m. on Twitter, it ain't getting shit. Because no one's on Twitter at 6 a.m. or most people aren't, right? So I think what we have to figure out is this summer, we have to figure that out. Like, okay, well, when is the best time to post on Instagram? When's for us and what we do? When's the best time to post on Twitter? When's the best time to post on Facebook, and why? Personally, I think Facebook is a lost cause, but we're still doing it through I do. We're still doing it there anyway, because I know there are still people there, and I know they still look at things, and we even had some likes recently, which kind of shocked me, because honestly, we don't get that much. Like, you can literally click on our account and see how many people viewed a piece, and it's not that much. And we haven't been active on Facebook in 2 years. I mean, we've been posting there, but a lot of people haven't been liking posts or interacting with things and that kind of stuff. We get more on Twitter than we do anywhere else, and then Instagram's probably number 2. But what we have to figure out, and this is why we have to look at those analytics, is we have to decide, okay, well, when is the best time to post on a Tuesday? When is the best time to post on a Monday and a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday, and so on, so on, so on. We got for each of those 3 platforms. We have to find that out. And here's the thing about that, is you have to check this regularly, because the different platforms change their algorithms all the time, and they don't tell anyone that they do it. So some other things I want us to think about this summer with social media are, how can we get people engaged online in different ways? Like, we really need to do that more. Like, personally, I don't know about you, but when I'm online, I usually don't have a lot of time. I'm probably just bored, and I'm just scrolling through, looking at stuff. And sometimes at night, I'll go on Twitter and read things, because I'm looking for like new poets and stuff like that. I'm specifically looking for something. But I'm not always on there to like interact a lot. But what we have to do is figure out some ways to get people more active on our accounts, liking posts more, sharing things more, that kind of stuff. One thing that we did last year was we had a poet come on Twitter at a particular time of day, and she answered questions that anyone asked. So what we did was, we, like a week before it happened, we sort of started previewing it on social media. Don't forget that on this day, this person's going to be on Twitter to answer your questions, yada, yada, yada. We did that, and we ended up getting like 100 followers, like almost immediately. So, you got to be really strategic about who you're asking, because first of all, you don't want to ask someone that doesn't have a lot of followers already. Like, what's the point of that? If the person you're asking has 10 followers on Twitter, why did you ask them? Right? So you got to find somebody that's actually active on there, and this person was. And she also had a lot of followers, so that really paid off. So we can probably do something like that again, perhaps. We tried doing things like getting people to respond to a prompt for a poem or a story or something like that. Memes or polls, maybe. I don't know. So that's what we got it. We can try something and just see how it works, because what we can do, Aaron, is we can go back and we can say, okay, we did this poll.
Mhm.
How many people did it reach? How much engagement did it get? And we can literally look and find that information in the analytics.
And I definitely feel like that would probably go over more well on Twitter than anywhere else. But yes, memes can be shared anywhere. Just people love memes, and that's one way to get
That's true.
them out there, if nothing else. So
Well, maybe that's something we can work on. Like, we can come up with a whole series of memes, and we can do, like, we can say, okay, we're going to do 1 a week, or we're going to do 2 a week, or whatever. I mean, that's something we can do.
I like it. I like it. I was gonna ask you, do you mind if we take a couple of minutes just for a water break and to stretch our legs, that kind of thing?
It looks like, yeah, let's do that. Why don't you guys take a break, and I'm going to see if Matt and Corinne are coming or not. If they're not, then we're just going to end.
We definitely have a meme lord on our team, and if not, we can definitely work together to make that happen.
What's
All
the
right,
other
cool.
one? What's the other one on Instagram that posts really funny memes? I think it might be. Let me look, and I'll just come back because we can get a lot of inspiration by them.
Oh yeah, I'm
They're
not above
hilarious.
stealing meme ideas, formatting them.
And that's the thing. Like, I would say, when you follow, all of you should follow other literary journals online. Find some that you like and follow them. Did I sign all of you up for our Twitter feed? I think I did, inside of Slack. Can all of you see that? Do you know?
I don't have my phone on me right now.
Here, I'll look, because if I didn't, I'm gonna make sure I do that now,
Okay.
because I want you to see our Twitter feed. But everyone who follows us will pop up there, and you can just see them automatically. If you don't have a Twitter account, you should probably get one, though.
ASAP.
Yeah, ASAP. Same thing with Instagram. Those are the two things we use the most.
And all the best people are on Twitter anyway.
They are. They really are.
I love it. And actually getting to like talk one-on-one with your favorite authors is just mind-blowing. I love it.
Okay.
It's Feminist Press.
Oh yeah, I love them.
They have the funniest memes. They are so funny, and they post memes all the time. Like, clearly whoever's in charge of that just really enjoys doing it. They love what they do, and it doesn't seem like they're just like, it doesn't seem like they're kind of like a machine that's just like churning out things. They like are genuinely funny, and I think they do it even better than Electric Lit does. And I think all their stuff is relevant, and yeah, I love their memes, and it's part of what makes me click on their stuff.
Awesome.
So, I mean, plus Feminist Press too. So, to be fair,
one thing that we've tried as a social media team, and it hasn't worked very well, is I've also tried to make people community managers.
Okay.
Meaning each person has their own platform that they're supposed to go on every day and like post and share things and stuff like that from our official West Trade account.
Okay.
But that hasn't worked very well. And I think it's just because we're all so damn busy, because there's so many things to do. Like, I'm on social media all the time because I know I have to be. If we're going to grow, then I have to be there doing shit. And see, that's what you really have to do, is you just have to be present, and you have to be interacting with people. But I can tell you from being there, like, I've met people that I ended up publishing, because one of them, Luke Johnson, I came across one of his poems one day, and I was like, holy shit. It literally it devastated me. It was that damn good. It was devastatingly beautiful, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I got to check this guy out. So he had a new book. So I bought his book and I read the book, and amazing. And so I messaged him and I said, hey, I came across you on Twitter. I read this poem, and it was one of the best poems I've ever read in my life, honestly. And here's how it affected me. And then I bought your book, and I really liked your book too. Would you consider submitting something to us? So a few weeks later, he did. Awesome. And he never has this ever happened. Poets can submit 5 poems. We liked all 5 of them.
Wow.
And we wanted to publish all 5. And so we did. And basically what I said to him was, you know, once a year for our print edition, we feature one writer. Since we're publishing 5 of your poems, what I'd like to do is put 3 of them in the print edition, and then I can put the others in online editions, if that's okay with you. And he was like, yeah, and he wanted to do it, and he wanted to do the interview. So we did the interview. And because of him, that one time being on Twitter led to that with him. But then he has introduced us to other poets who've sent their work into us. And we've published a lot of those people also.
That's amazing.
Dare Williams. I mean, there's so many of them that's happened from, that's just from being on Twitter one time.
I just found somebody on Facebook like that, another poet. So maybe I can get his name and send it to you in a little bit. But
Yeah.
water, I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, and see, so that's the thing about being on social media. If you're going to grow the journal, you got to be there. And, you know, I would say, though, as you know, it's not good for your mental health. So I just do it in little spurts here and there, you know.
For sure.
Like every day at 3 o'clock, I'll go. I know our post is going to be shared at 11 a.m. and 3. So I'll go on to my account. I'll like the post. I'll share them on my personal account. I go on Instagram. I share it to our story. So I'm on there, you know, a little bit at that time of day, and then I'll go back on at night before I go to bed for just a few minutes. And if all of you could do that with our West Trade accounts, just a couple times a day, just for a few minutes, liking, sharing.
Because I don't want to end my day on like whatever I find on, you know, social media. I don't want to start it that way either, but
right.
It's usually a good time.
So maybe that's something we can try again this summer. I don't know, because we're doing so much already. I mean, you're going to be doing a little bit of everything, but it would just be just a couple minutes here and there. And I know, Alana, you started doing Twitter. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, I check. I haven't checked recently because I just moved out from my dorm.
Right, right.
I was trying to get the hang of Twitter.
Yeah, it takes a minute. But after a while, your brain rewires itself, and then it works exactly like Twitter does. That's exactly what happens. We know through scientific evidence, that's exactly what happens. Your brain rewires itself. So, Alani, do you want to stay on Twitter, or do you want to go to like Instagram or Facebook? Does anyone, do you actually use Facebook?
Me.
Okay, Aaron, maybe you need to be on Facebook then.
I can do that.
What about you, Jesse? You're on mute.
No, I don't use it. I have a Facebook account, but it's just I just use it for my roller hockey team, and that's it. And I don't use it.
Yeah. Are you on Twitter or Instagram regularly?
I don't have a Twitter, but I am on Instagram regularly.
So would you be okay with going on Instagram occasionally and liking things and sharing them and commenting and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's how I found you guys.
Exactly. What about you, Shayla?
Start a TikTok.
Yeah, we have thought about that actually. I have refused to create a TikTok because I'm like, I'm already on there enough. You know?
Yeah.
Everybody that I know, like some of my friends and my niece and everybody, they keep sending me all these damn TikTok videos all the time. I'm like, don't you have anything better to do with your life? But they are funny. They're hilarious. But that's the thing. So if we're on TikTok, then we would have to create content specifically for TikTok, which could be a lot of work because it has to be video.
Yeah.
There is an idea I have for something though. But that's a whole other thing, and I don't know if I'm even going to have time to do it. But I've been thinking about creating video poems.
Yeah, you mentioned that too.
Yeah, they're short films basically.
Sorry, I jumped in and interrupted Shayla though. Sorry about that.
So that's a thing that I was thinking about would be great for TikTok, is something like that. But I don't know. We'll have to see.
We could do that.
Are any of you on TikTok regularly?
sort of, kind of, not really at
Have you
all.
seen any literary journals on there?
Not recently, but I know authors are getting on there. I've definitely seen, and there's definitely like a whole niche of book talk too. So it's a thing.
Hmm.
And
See, that's the
there's
thing. I don't want to do it if it's not going to be like worth our time. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be a lot of work.
yeah, yeah.
Plus, it's also, I don't think, I'm
I
pretty
think
sure it's not a part of like Buffer or any of those things yet either.
Yeah. It'll probably have to be manually put in. But I
Yep.
figure, I don't know if they have a function to schedule videos yet, but pretty much every other social media does have that
Yeah.
ability, have to do it manually still. So
Right.
it's possible.
Well, we can investigate that and see. Since you're on there, she'll just look around for me.
I'll take a look for sure.
Shayla, what about you? Which one of these are you on most often? Sorry.
I have a Twitter, but I don't really use it that often. I have Facebook too, but I usually watch just like videos and stay in touch with family on there. And then I'm mostly on Instagram.
Okay, well, we can put you on Instagram with Jesse. Does that
Okay.
work?
Yep.
So what I'll do is I'll email all of you the login info to the official West Trade account, and you can just add it to your phone and you log in there. That's what I do. I mostly use it on my phone because my phone is always with me. And if I'm bored, if I'm standing in the line at the grocery store or whatever, I could say, oh, let me just see what's going on our West Trade Twitter. And,
And it's a good way to limit yourself. That's how I control my social media usage. It's on my phone at night. My phone goes on the other side of the room. I'm not sleeping with it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just talk to it. It's
yeah,
healthy.
yeah.
You have to.
So I'm going to send that to you. And all I want you to do is just go on. Now you got to remember, whatever you do, you're representing us. So don't do anything or say anything that's going to cause us to get canceled. Or, no hate speech. I know you guys wouldn't do this anyway. Nothing like that even can be remotely construed as anything like that at all. You just got to be very careful, but comment on people's posts, share their posts. But you got to remember, don't share something to our page unless it's really relevant to what we're doing in some way. Like every now and then, if I come across like an amazing poem from a writer, I'll share that on our page. Just because I think other people need to see it. But liking things, definitely do that. Commenting on things on their individual posts, definitely do that, because what that does a lot of times is people will see that we saw it. They're not a follower of us, and then they'll follow us back, kind of thing. A lot of times, once they take a look at us and see what we're doing, and if they're interested, they will. So that's going to help us increase our following. Plus, it increases our engagement. And when your engagement's increased, you move up higher on people's lists, and then we end up being seen by more people.
That algorithm.
Yeah, that algorithm. I know. And you never know what it's doing, and they won't tell you.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's about engagement, though. It comes down to that. So if we're not engaging with other accounts, then not as many people are going to see us. Okay.
Well, it is 7:15, and
Yeah.
the other here.
They didn't show, so I say we're done.
I really want to go take that water break.
Oh wait, Corinne, take your water break. Corinne's like, are we still doing the meeting? So
Yes.
come back, and Corinne's going to be here.
Okay.
Come online now. Hey Mike, are you down here? You want some pizza? Anitio? Okay. Oh, okay. Whoops, comma, sorry, comma, we're still in the other meeting. I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link. Sent it to Slack. Do you still plan? Are you planning to come to the social media meeting tonight? Question mark. If you can just hop on a few minutes, I'd like for you to meet the interns. We are using a different link though. I sent it to you in Slack. Hi, Corinne. How you doing, Corinne? Hi.
There we go. My audio wasn't working for a second.
How are you?
I'm good.
We've been talking since 5:30 about all the things they're going to do this summer. So I figured out that, so they're all taking a pee break and a water break right now. We're going to let each of them, they're working in teams, and they're going to rotate. They're going to do 2 months on each task and then rotate to another task kind of thing. But they're sort of doing several things at once. Like everybody's reading fiction and everybody's doing social media. So they'll probably do 1 post a week or something like that, potentially 2. And then for the first 2 months, so between the last 2 weeks of May and in June, Aaron and Jesse are going to do audio exclusive recordings and edit those and that kind of stuff. I don't know who this is. And then 2 of them are going to be working on web design stuff. So they're going to be building all the web pages for like the stuff that we're publishing in the fall and the winter and that kind of stuff. And then one of them is going to be working on social media analytics and finding research grants for us. And then, so they're going to do that 2 months and then rotate, basically. And in the meantime, other little things might come up for them to do too, like edit documents in InDesign and learn InDesign and that kind of stuff. So they're gonna be doing a lot. So that's what we've been talking about. So we talked about how to do social media and all that kind of stuff too. And I told them who you were and told them that you started out as a reader and doing social media, and now you're the reviews editor. So they're excited to meet you.
So I just sent out some requests to publishers, but since that one got canceled, I realized that we only have one book review for June.
Oops.
And it's kind of a little late to send things to them unless you know
Yeah.
anyone can read fast on NetGalley.
Well, if
'Cause
there's
I
something
could read one fast because there's one that I want to do for June, but it would be due next week. So
can you do that?
I mean, I can read it fast and it won't be in next week, but it'll be in before it's published.
Let me look at the social media schedule and see when we could get it in there.
Because if we can at least squeeze one in like mid-June, that might help.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to get a physical book to anyone. They'd have to read it on NetGalley.
Well, when we started doing book reviews, everybody read them that way.
Yeah, I meant to tell everyone if they weren't already signed up on NetGalley to sign up on NetGalley.
Because I know some of them are, because that's the way that I did it, because I just, teaching and everything else, I did not have time to also do that.
Yeah, like I don't trust the publisher. If I request a book to edit or to review, I always request on NetGalley too, just in case.
That's the thing to do, because sometimes they just won't say anything and they'll never send it.
Yeah, I think that's what happened with the one I just canceled. She never heard anything from anyone. It's that one that was canceled.
This one?
Yeah, she didn't get it.
I thought the other one was canceled too, though.
That one is also canceled because it'd be due too soon.
Mm-hmm.
So she just told me this today, that this one never came.
Well,
so that is also canceled.
Who
which means we don't.
Who was this assigned to?
Elizabeth.
Ask her if she wants to do another one.
She just picked one. I'll ask her if she wants to do a quick one for June. I don't know how fast she can read and write a review.
Yeah,
that's why I was asking if you knew anyone who could do it quick.
I would just ask somebody. I would just email everybody on that list and ask them.
Okay.
Because it's really going to come down to, well, what do they have planned in their life and that kind of stuff, I think, because I know a lot of them, like Elizabeth has kids, so, they keep her busy. Samantha has kids.
What are you guys talking about again?
We were supposed to have 2 more book reviews for June, and suddenly we don't have any. Because we're sort of transitioning from Rachel as a reviews editor to Corinne as the reviews editor.
So you don't have submissions, is what you're saying, right?
No, we have that. This is reviews, books to review, basically. We had people to write them. We had no books.
Oh, I see.
How do we get more books?
Well, that's a whole long process. But we can do them electronically quickly, but that's the thing, we have to find somebody that can do it. You actually have to go to the publishers and request a hard copy.
Okay.
For reviews, but what happens is you get them, months in advance. So, by the way, Corinne, did I ever mention to you, like when a review's done, that you need to go back and make sure that if the writer of the review used a quote, you have to check with the publisher to make sure the quote's still the same?
Would I send that to the same email for the one, whoever I requested the book from?
Yeah, whoever sends you the book, if they, they usually will reply back, whoever that person was, send it to them.
Okay.
And I think usually that's the person who checks it, because sometimes between the proofs that we have and the final copy, they might change something. So we just want to make sure that it's still the same. Okay, so I think Matt came in too, right? Thought I saw him come in.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh. All
How's
right,
it going?
so hi. So why don't we just let everyone introduce themselves, and Matt, we can just start with you. because you've been here the longest.
Correct.
I'll tell them a little bit about what you've done with us, what you've learned, what you've got, because all of them are basically learning a little bit of everything, sort of like you did, except they're even going to go further than you went. So yeah, and then tell them, how you think that's going to be beneficial, some of the things you learn, like in other ways perhaps.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. Glad to see new faces all the time. So good to see all the new people here. I am Matt. I've started off as just basically like fiction reader. And that kind of blossomed into a associate editor and a like social media team member. Basically, I've just kind of worked my way through all the different positions and I've enjoyed all of them. And I feel like the best thing about the review is that it offers you the opportunity to just like flex a lot of creative muscle, especially if you're on the like social media side, because you get to work on a bunch of different projects and you really get to see what it's like to actually run and operate a journal, like a literature magazine, like hard copy book that you see all over on our campus in Charlotte. You get to actually see how that thing comes to fruition and see how it gets all the stories get picked out, and it's just a really fun process. So I don't think I'm missing anything, but yeah, I've really enjoyed my time meeting everyone. I think all the editors, the fiction and poetry editors, are just like fantastic people, and like the more you get to talk to them, the more you get to pick their brains about writing and what they enjoy. Just it's really fun, and all the conversations that you get to expose to are just like, they're almost like writers meetings, or like the writers like what's the term, like workshops, but just like on steroids, because everyone's got like an MFA and are super like really good at critiquing literature. So being able to just sit in on that and just like hear what people think about stuff has been very eye-opening. So yeah, I'm glad to see everyone here.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I would say those meetings are like grad school classes. They are.
Genuinely.
Yeah. Corinne, you want to go next?
Sure. Like Matt, I've kind of also done everything: social media, fiction reading. I've written reviews, and now I'm the reviews editor. So if you're interested in writing reviews, let me know. And I've done web pages too, if you have questions about web pages.
Would you say that the learning the webpage thing was difficult?
No, it was pretty straightforward. I wrote down a lot of instructions for myself. So it's just kind of memorizing the flow of like how to set everything up.
Yeah, it's usually pretty easy because I already have the basic form there. So you have to sort of copy and paste another page over onto a blank one and then just redo some things. That's all you have to do. It's pretty easy. Okay, so Chayla, why don't you go next?
It's like what I'll be doing, and
Just sort of tell us a little bit about you. Like, why did you want to work with the journal? Who are you? Where are you from? What kind of things do you like to do? All that kind of stuff.
my name is Chayla. I'm from Hampton, Virginia, and I go to Johnson & Wales in Charlotte, North Carolina. I came across the Western Review with we have a class on campus. It's called Literary Editing and Publishing. And through that, I'll be doing a little bit of everything with the class. You said what I like to do and what else?
Anything you want to tell us. What makes Chayla so cool and interesting?
Basically, what I want to take away from this and what I want to do for my future career, I want to be a food critic. So I plan to take what I learned here and apply that to my future.
Very cool. And you have a background in culinary on our campus, right?
I have a food studies minor.
Okay, cool. Very
with
good.
a major in media and communications.
Excellent. Okay, Erin.
Hi, I'm Erin. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English. I have been editing and writing for longer than I can remember, basically. I was a writing consultant for 3 out of my 4 years when I was doing my bachelor's, and just absolutely fell in love with it. Knew that I had found my calling in editing. So I'm working into the publishing industry, and I definitely feel like this is a fantastic first step in that direction. I'm excited to learn as much as I possibly can about everything. And yeah, I'm sometimes a grammar Nazi, so if you have any questions, I'm a good person to ask.
Good. I'm glad we have at least one grammar Nazi. And like Matt said, all of you, what's super cool is when you start, we just started our submission period April 1st. So it's like we're sort of starting all over from scratch. Although we had already accepted some things for pretty much the summer edition was already done. But fall, winter, spring, we had accepted a few things for spring, but not much. So you're basically, you start from nothing. And then in the end, you have these things. And you created that. And you had a hand in creating it and choosing everything that went in there. You had a hand in choosing the art. You had a hand in, even like a lot of you are going to be doing InDesign, you'll have a chance to do things like learning layout, like how to do things like that, pull out quotes, how to make everything look on the page. Like with this poem, it's about an orchid, so we put an orchid on the page with the poem. With short stories, and all the creative nonfiction too, we always include an image with those. You'll also have a chance to do, where did it go? So when we have the interviews, you'll have a chance to decide how you want that to look, how it's laid out. We had 3 writers that we actually interviewed for artists this time. And last year it was just 1, but Kelly's going to teach you this stuff. But the way that you lay out pages is always interesting too. And one of the things you'll learn is, I think doing the print edition is much more difficult because you're limited because of money. So basically the way it starts is what we're doing already with reading submissions and that kind of stuff. But then usually towards the end of the summer, I have to contact a printer and I have to say, okay, here's what we want. This is the kind of paper we want. This is the weight of that paper. We want these pages glossy. We don't want these pages glossy, all that stuff. And I have to say, and this is how many copies that we think we want. Can you give me a price for this many and for this many with all of these? And so then they'll come back to us with a price. There for a long time, we used the same printer. And then this past year, we switched to a new one. And honestly, it was a really good experience, and I kind of want to use them again. So I'm hoping that their price doesn't go through the roof. And see, that's the thing too. You never know. And sometimes they double in price. I've had that happen before. And different things cause this kind of stuff to happen. And so then you have to adjust with that, And so there's so many things to learn and to know. And we were one of the few journals that actually had our spring edition at AWP. And I think it was because simply that I've been doing it a long time and I knew some of the things that were going on. Like there was a paper shortage, there was a labor shortage. And I contacted the printer early and said, hey, this is when we think we're going to need it. When do I need to have you the files by? And they're like, well, we're 16 weeks out right now. I'm like, what? And that was in the fall. And I'm like, so if I want it by April, when do I need to have you the files? And they were like, by the end of December. So we had to rush and get all that done. And see, the thing was, if I hadn't done that before, if I hadn't published so many times, I wouldn't have known to contact them so far in advance and done all these other little things and ask them all these questions, because they just won't tell you anything. You'll send them, you'll say, we're going to send you the files on February 1st, like we'd always done. And then when April would come, they would be like, oh yeah, by the way, it's not going to be there until blah, 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 blah. That's what would happen a lot of times. So Aaron, like you were saying, like there's so much to learn and there's so many things to do. And I've been doing this since 2005. So And I can say something new comes up all the time. It does all the time. Jesse, you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Jesse. I found West Trade Review on Instagram, which I thought was very appropriate given our conversations earlier. Yeah, I just was applying for a position. So I have been reading for literary magazines for about 4 years now. I've edited. I'm an editor at Word West, which is an indie publisher in Brooklyn. I've been an editorial assistant at Craft Literary, which is kind of like a like art magazine, and their sister magazines with the Masters Review. And if you don't know who Fractured Lit is, that's also under their umbrella. Tommy Dean is there. EIC, and he's really good. He's very popular in the flash fiction genre. People typically know who he is, and he's their editor-in-chief. So, and then I go to school at USC in South Carolina. And I am the editor of their magazines, or I'm the co-editor with another member of my cohort. Yeah, I think that I enjoy editing. I like it a lot, but I feel a little bit one note. I'd kind of like to do, like Aaron said, break my way into the publishing industry a little bit more, and learn how to do stuff outside of just editing fiction, because I love that, but I feel like I am a little bit one note marketable wise. So that's my story.
Welcome. Alana?
Hi everyone. I'm Alana. I've been with the West Trade Review for about, I think it's going on a year. I've been on a fiction team, I've been on a social media team, and now I'm working as an intern. I'm excited to get into things like web pages and get a little more insight on how publishing works and working for the company. As far as like what I plan to do in the future, I'm not sure yet, but I am a media communications major and I want to go into like more of the creative field, maybe like script writing or maybe even like a social media strategist, but I'm weighing my options. So, but this is great entry level work to, to have experience in. So I'm excited to continue working here.
And let me say this too, like the social media thing, once you guys learn some of this stuff, you can go on Upwork and those types of sites, and you can run other people's social media accounts for them once you know how to do it all. And it's really, I don't think it's all that difficult. I don't. I mean, but I've been doing it a while. But it's pretty easy. And like you were saying, Jesse, when you see publishing jobs advertised, they come with this long list of criteria that they're looking for. And if you've only done the editing, that's not going to be enough. You need to know all this other stuff too. And, usually those jobs, though, you have to either live in New York or Chicago for them most of the time. And if you're just starting out, like as an intern or something, New York is one of the most expensive places in the country to live. You're not gonna be able to live there on $30,000 a year. You're just not. So getting all the experience you can, and then potentially moving into one of those roles would be great. And every once in a while, you can find where they have people that just do everything remotely. Every once in a while, or they'll let you do remotely part of the time. But a lot of the times, at least the ones that I've seen recently, they're requiring people to be in either New York or Chicago. And I don't want to live in either one of those places. It's too cold. So we have a lot that we're going to be working on, and I would just say ask questions when you have them. If you're not sure about something, speak up and say, tell me what it is you don't understand. If you have ideas for things we can try, I like to do that. I like to try different stuff. And, I think sometimes it's cool to get inspiration from other journals. I don't want to copy them though. If we're going to do something, we can get inspired by them and then our own little twist to something, I think that's a cool thing. So if you're not following a lot of other journals online, start following other journals online and just see how they're doing things, see how they're laying out their website, for instance. See what types of posts they're making on their social media pages. We, 2 years ago, coined the term online exclusive, and now fucking everybody's using it. And I came up with that because I was like, okay, we're not paying these people and they're not getting a free copy of a print journal. So what are we going to give them? And I'm like, okay, we need to make it sound like it's special. And it is, but let's make it sound even more special than it really is. And so that's where I came up with online exclusive from. And that was June of 2020. And then I started noticing other journals were using it. And I was like, well, okay, fine. So I don't want us to do exactly what everyone else is doing. I want us to just do our own little thing. Like for instance, we have a section of our website, which I have to beef up a lot this summer. That's my project, called West End. And I got inspired from the Georgia Review. Georgia Review has a whole section of their website called GR2, which, I think is super cool that it's just called GR2. But I didn't want to copy them. And so we had a whole conversation 2 years ago about, okay, well, what are we going to call, if we're going to do this, what are we going to call our section and how are we going to make all this other stuff happen? So the first thing we started with was book reviews. And so we're going to feature a lot of our book reviews there. We're going to feature a lot of our interviews there with writers, that kind of stuff. We wanted to feature crafts articles too, but usually no one will write a craft article unless they're going to get paid for it. So until we can find somebody that's willing to do that, we might be able to start paying people for some things like that pretty soon. Not sure. But anyway, the point is follow other journals, pay attention to what they're doing, use that as sort of a springboard for developing your own ideas about things that we can try in a way that they're not doing. I'm like, my idea for, okay, so I'm gonna send you guys this now. It's super cool. I think it's called Moving Poems. Yeah. So about 6-7 years ago, potentially a little bit longer, I started seeing some poets create something called video poems. And, it never really caught on a lot, but I think it should. And if you look at that website, the person who basically created this site and edits everything there, he finds video poems that people have created and he sort of keeps the website updated with new pieces. And so basically they're sort of like short films, essentially. But they're short films set to poems. And so you hear in parts of the poem, you might hear, for instance, the poet reading the words of the poem, but then it could be interspersed with other things like the sound of water running or an image of a butterfly, whatever. They do all these cool things. And sometimes they're even animated. So it's kind of like this way where poets and filmmakers take the poetry of words and images and combine them together into this new genre. And this is something that I really, really, really want to do. I either want to create our own and feature those in our journal. That's what I'd really like to do, because no one else that I know of is doing that. And I want to do that, but it might just be too much work. And that's probably why no one's doing it. And I also wondered, well, if we did a call for something like this, would anyone even submit? Because, if you got people who are filmmakers who are making these, they're probably not going to want to submit to somewhere unless they're getting paid for that, because honestly, it's a lot of work. But I've been doing a little bit of research recently, and I know, like, some of the sites that we use for our images that we use with our online exclusives and things, they also have free video clips. So we could take that video and create a poem from it. Like, we already have audio files of poets reading their work. So all we would have to do is ask the poet, is it okay for us to use your poem and create a video poem? And then we could create it ourselves. And that's why I was asking you, Matt, about how much time you had this summer, because I know you used Adobe's, oh God, what's it called? The video program.
They have a couple. The one that I'm most familiar with is Premiere Rush.
Yeah, Premiere Rush.
But Premiere is the one with all the fancy bells and whistles.
Right. We would probably need to start with Premiere Rush. So anyway, that's just an idea I have, and I thought that would be really cool because no one else online is doing it. And something like that on TikTok and Instagram Reels, that would kick ass. But do we have the time to create it? I don't know. But that's something I kind of want to try this summer, is just, I don't want to like go out and create my own video. I want to take the video clips that are already existing and use them and put them together in interesting ways that that we could do a video poem with, because we already have some audio and I already have a poet in mind that I would like to do. It's a short one, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Although I've never used that Adobe program before, so I'm going to have to teach myself that. But I know there's like a ton of YouTube videos. There's YouTube videos for everything. I changed an electrical outlet in my house, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. And I was like, I watched it on YouTube, and I did it, and I'm still here. So it worked. So anyway, there's lots of stuff that we can work on together this summer. Like, if I start working on that video poem stuff, and you guys want to learn Adobe Premiere Rush and that kind of stuff, then that's something maybe you could do too, potentially. So anyway, we got a lot to do this summer and this fall too. And so beginning though, Jesse and Aaron, you're going to be doing audio exclusives, and I'll be in touch with you about that and with the schedule and that kind of stuff. And the rest of you, we'll get started on yours too. So you'll just look for emails from me about all those different things that we talked about, the web design and social media analytics and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Anyone have any questions or anything? Well, I think you're going to find this fun. I personally do. If you're not having fun, let me know. Okay. And we'll try to find a way to make it fun. All right. I look forward to working with all of you, and I'll be in touch about your individual projects. Okay. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye. Thank you for staying here for 2 hours. Almost 3.
See you later.
See ya.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.